Well, welcome back to Hondaville, and we are definitely doing the forks this time. Yes. All cleaned up and ready to go. Yeah, took a while, but we got that. The only thing is I've got to take this bottom race off, and I watched my buddy Delboy, which involved getting a screwdriver in there and giving it a little tap. But of course I can't do that this side because it's of that thing on the bottom. So I think that's a job for Chris. I don't want to damage this in case we are using it. Well, we're definitely using it. Yeah. So I went to see Chris today, and he has removed that bottom race collar from the GSXR Yoke. So we are ready to, well, obviously we need to put the new one on, but before I do that, I want to just marry it all up and make sure if this is even going to begin to work. We also got the tyre fitted, and that's looking kind of cool. He says it's a little bit bent discs, which is not good news, especially as I didn't get them off in the first place. So that may be a job for him to do at a later date. Anyway, tyre looks good, and at least we can start messing around with the front forks now, because we have all the bits and pieces that we need. By the way, thanks for tuning in and continuing to watch the saga of the Honda. Hondas are always a saga for me. I don't know why that is, but anyway, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, do subscribe, and then we can do this again. Yes, and encourage others to watch my lunacy. And Chris's discovery that the discs are bent, as you can see, when he was fitting the tyre, just confirms that we're going to have to get them off. And looking now at the paint job, yeah. Oh, I see some details that I didn't see before, and my patina look is just just hasn't quite come off. So I think we're going to have to get the discs off, take the tyre off again, paint it properly, put the tyre back on, find some new discs, some funky ones hopefully, like we did for the R6. If you remember these. Yeah, let's get some funky discs. First stage, take the front wheel off, which is not as expected. I'm still not sure, but basically I've unbolted the bottom of the forks, and they're over here. Yeah. So in theory, when I lift it up, the wheel should fall out. Let's see what happens. There you go. Well, that's strange. There we go. Yes, before taking a closer look, with a few gentle taps with a hammer, I realised nothing was budging, and then I realised why. Well, actually, now I realise why, because I was bashing it from the other end, which I realised had a sleeve on it. Yeah. So I should have bashed it from that end, maybe. Now, well, if you're intending to do this from home or under the supervision of an adult, then try bashing it from the other end, not the end I did. It might work. Next up, I think we'll take the brake caliper off. It seems like a sensible thing to do. With some help from a monkey. You gonna help? No, what the hell's that? Yeah, that's that done. So now we just have two front forks, which I can loosen up, and these bolts here and those bolts there, and they'll just drop out, and then we get the yoke out. Yeah. Well, they wiggled out without much problem. Little gentle persuasion from a rubber mallet, obviously. Right, let's get that yoke off. Time for some big boys. Yes, breaker bar and 30mm. So it turns out. Lovely. Back in a minute. We are now finger tight. Hope it doesn't drop on my foot. I think it's going to need a little bit of persuasion. Oh my god, I'm videoing me undoing a nut. How boring. There we go. Okay, I think another gentle tap with my mallet will get that out. Okay, let's revisit this. And first off, yes, top yoke. Duh. Then we got some other shit to sort out. I remember now. It's the same on every bike. I don't know why I forget every time. And there we have it, yokeless. And yes, AllBallsRacing, literally everywhere, all over the bloody floor. That came out, I suppose it would, really. I wouldn't want to put it back in. I think I've lost some. Oh, there's one, hanging on for dear life. Not dissimilar to the ones that came in the GSXR front forks, except at least they're in a race. Yes. And there's the top ones. Yeah, horrible state. The grease looks like it's been in there since 1978, wouldn't you say? Yeah. Okay, what next? Well, having cleaned that up somewhat, I think the next stage is to start hammering out those races. And it looks fairly easy because that one down the bottom comes well inside the diameter of the actual tube itself, as does the one at the top. What I'm wondering is whether I test fit the other yoke now. It probably won't fit because those are the wrong races, but let's just have a look. Might wobble around a bit. Difficult to say at this point because I'm about 15 mil out there at the bottom because of that top race, because it's too narrow to allow that bit through. So let's get the bugger out. How hard can it be? Well, I'll let you know in 5 minutes or 5 hours. And there we have it. Less than 5 minutes later, but that's the bottom one because it's a lot easier bashing stuff downwards than it is upwards. So back in a few. So got that off. That's there. I'll just put it all back together so it's complete. Ready for eBay, because I am increasingly confident that, look, I mean, take a look at that, and I think we're roughly about the same height. That's cool, isn't it? And especially if you look at that ridge there, where that one there, where the equivalent from the GSXR, the equivalent big nut goes on. I think we are looking good. And obviously there's those adapter racers and bearings to go in place, but again, it's all kind of sizing up. I would say that's gonna, well, I don't know. Yeah, lovely. This will be a bloody first where my research actually pays off and I did read it right and I got the right bits and everything bloody works. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Anyway, if you need some very small ball bearings for a 1/10 scale pinball machine or something, get in touch. I'm your man. So, apparently, according to Chris, the best way to put the new race on is pop the yoke itself in a freezer and pop the race, like that guy, in a fridge. No, oven. Oven, yes. That's right. So this shrinks and the race itself expands and then it will just drop on and seal itself up. Lovely jubbly. Bearing in mind gloves when you get it out of the oven, because it's going to be about 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, probably Fahrenheit because we're in the US. So while this is all up in the air, literally, I thought I would probably take these pipes off because I've got easy access with no wheel there, and it kind of makes sense because we know one's got a hole in it. I can't remember which one. I think it was number 4, which is actually number 1 because I numbered them back to front. And I don't think we're going to be using any of those pipes, but we are going to be keeping those because they're lovely. And I'm hoping these aren't going to be a bastard like they were on the R6. I'm hoping they're not seized up because I'm guessing that they were relatively recently on and off in order to weld that horrible stuff on. Never mind, I'm playing it safe and I have used my favourite trusty oil. Creepy stuff. They came off so easily you would not believe it. So that's rather a pleasant surprise, and we won't be using these because whatever exhaust system we buy will have its own. So I guess those will be going on eBay. Yeah, the pipes not so much though. Yes, there's that hole that was covered up with with exhaust wrap. Extraordinary. And yeah, the not so lovely welding job of the pipes. So I feel a garden ornament coming on. So next stage is to start putting the conversion bearings onto the GSXR Yoke. And I was a little confused because there were two washers with no kind of instructions or anything else. Varying thicknesses, varying sizes. And I was a little confused as to where these might be going. Anyway, thanks to a very helpful video, not from AllBallsRacing, although I've included that in the description as well for the video. There is another guy who explains exactly what these are for and actually has a diagram. So it turns out I'm going to be measuring my balls, or the old balls. Yes, I'm not sure if this is big enough. Quite alarming, yes. No, so as it turns out, what you have to do is put the original balls in the original race and then the new bearing, and compare the two and see if you need a spacer washer underneath the new race, the adaptive race from AllBallsRacing. So let's give that a whirl. So issue number one is I don't have the stock race off the stem, and I can't be bothered to take it off, honestly. Especially if I'm going to be selling the stock yoke complete. I don't really want to damage anything, so that's going to make life more difficult. Turns out it was a good job I kept those ball bearings, wasn't it, off the Honda. And of course it's always important to clean your balls before measuring them. That said, having cleaned that up, I've now had to grease it up because otherwise, of course, the balls will just roll all over the place and that'd be no good. So, yeah, here we go. Ball installation. I'm guessing I don't need all of them in there. I just need enough to make it level. So those remain clean and untouched, unscathed by grease. So I guess now I need to put on the original race, which was in the frame, like that. And then I suppose we need to measure it from the top of the yoke there. Yeah, let's do that. That appears to be what he's suggesting there. Well, this is a bit tricky, but it does say you got like a mil tolerance, so I would say we're close there. I would say it's about right, wouldn't you? 6.5. Yeah. No. Other way around. Yes, let's try again. 15.8 millimeters. And the new setup is pretty much 15 mil bang on. So, yeah, so we need about a millimeter, maybe. And the thinnest washer provided is 2.9, so that's too big. What would that do? That would push this higher, which we've got. I mean, we've got tolerance on there. And given that they say as long as it's within a millimeter, I guess we are within a millimeter as it stands. So we probably don't need any washers, especially by the time you factor in that, which I didn't, and I should have done. Because that's probably a millimeter there, right? Let's measure that. Which of course we can't, because we can't really get the tool in there to measure that outside of the rim. So as close as I could get is 1.3, and I'm figuring that was extra because it was an angle, so it's probably less than 1 mil, but it's going to bring it up enough in theory. Well, that's a BS argument because that goes on top. Duh. So, do we need to put a 1mm in there or not? Have we got anything that's 1mm that'll fit there? I doubt it. Aha! Well, actually, we do have. And that came off the Jigsaw forks. Yokes. Yoke. Cracking too many eggs here. Yeah, so that came off the Jigsaw. And I don't think, well, I know it wasn't under there, on there, because Chris took off the bottom race, as you may remember, and he would have thrown it away, probably. Certainly didn't give it back to me. So this is probably off the top somewhere, which again, we're not going to be needing. So that might be, might have been perfect, except it's got, ooh, look, it's got a little thing. Focus. See, it's got a little notch in it. Don't know what that's for. Anyway, it will do the job. I'm going to remove the notch. And this is a perfect job to try out my new Dremel-like thing. Tis was. Yes, that thing. An interesting array of attachments, the likes of some of which I've never seen before, but none of which I feel is quite up to the job that I have in mind. Good job I got all this shit as well, isn't it? Yes, I think we need something quite aggressive, like one of these. Yes. Yeah. Yep, definitely one of these. What bloody palaver, I could have probably bitten it off with my teeth by now. Yeah, so this is why I hate these tools, because they're a bit shit. No noticeable difference there, really. The bloody thing just falls apart. Well, we got there in the end by resorting to old-fashioned techniques. That literally took a minute with a decent rat tail file from 1930 something probably. Yes, it's one of my granddads. They don't make them like they used to. So, that fits perfectly. And gives me 1mm. So there we go. I shall clean it up. And on that note, I think we'll call it a day and leave you in suspense for what happens next. So do tune in next time to see the assembly, the reassembly of the yoke and forks and what it all turns out like. Hope this has been useful. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe and encourage others to watch my lunacy.